Hi everybody, and welcome back to another edition of SCZ Live. I am Shanae, and we are in one of my favorite places here at the zoo, the American Barnyard. Now I'm here with Colleen today, and she is joined by our oxen team at the zoo. Colleen, I know we get asked all the time, but what the heck is an oxen and how is it different than a cow?
Okay, oxen are cows or cattle that have been specifically trained to do a job, and that job is to wear a yoke and to pull a load, might be a cart, a sled, or anything like that. Most generally, an ox is a male that has been altered.
Okay.
It could, theoretically, if that was all you had, be a female or something, but most of the time they are steers because they are steadier, they don't have hormones to think about crazy things, and they're much more willing and tractable to work for us.
So introduce us to the oxen that we have here.
Okay, we have on this side, the red ox is Bristol, and on the other side, the white one is Ghost. Both of these cows were born here at the zoo 3 years ago, so 2017, and a little fun fact is Bristol was born on Mother's Day that year, and Ghost was born on Father's Day that same year. So I actually can kind of remember their birthdays, which most of the time I can't. But they are two different breeds of cow. Ghost is an ancient white park, and Bristol is a shorthorn. But because they were born so close together, we were able to go ahead and try to use them for a team of oxen.
Now, the wooden piece that's between them, that's the yoke?
That is the yoke, yes.
And how do we get them into the yoke?
Pretty easily. They're trained to stand together, and then we basically rest the yoke across their necks and then slide the bows. Those are the round pieces that are sticking up. They'll come up through the yoke. There's two holes there, and then we pin it into place. And those bows can be adjusted up or down or whatever for the size of the animal's neck.
Now, I noticed Kaylee here is giving them some different commands. She's telling them, whoa.
Right.
Is that like a calming effect for them?
It is, and it just reminds them that they're still working and they still need to be paying attention to her so they don't get distracted and wander off to eat some grass or something. It just kind of reminds them that they're still on the job.
So could this be considered a form of enrichment for Ghost and for Bristol?
Yeah, I think it is. I think they really do enjoy the attention, and they like the grooming and everything they get before and after. And they're both really easygoing individuals, and I think they really like the interaction.
So what is our hope for them to be able to do? Or will we just have them stand here with the yoke?
No. Our hope is that we will be able to have them pull a cart or some kind of a sled or something like that. It takes quite a bit of time and a lot of hours to really get a team of oxen steady to do that. So we're working at it gradually.
And I know earlier we were talking, we added some one small thing to this area, and as they walked by, that new thing really surprised them when they saw the fence across the American barn. So it does really have to be that gradual piece so that they can get accustomed and used to everything.
It does, and also it's a big part of developing their relationship with their handler and the trust they have in that person. That, okay, so there's something new and interesting, they trust Kaylee, so they don't panic, they know that she's not going to let anything hurt them. And so they'll react to it and notice it, which is great, but then they're not going to be upset by it.
So we mentioned that oxen can be any breed of cow.
Correct.
Are there breeds of cow that seem to do better at being oxen than others?
Well, yes, there are several breeds, especially some of the heritage breeds that are really well known for making good oxen. Milking Devon are one that is traditionally a really, really well sought after breed for oxen. Shorthorns are also a really good one. I know people who use piney woods for oxen. So, and those breeds all are very docile, usually real easy to get along with. Some breeds are a little bit more reactive and maybe not quite so tractable, so they're used less.
And again, earlier we mentioned they are two different breeds.
Right.
What breeds do we have here?
Ghost, the white one, is an ancient white park, which is a rare breed. And Bristol, the red one, is a milking shorthorn. And they're also, the strain of shorthorn that he is from is a very rare strain.
Now I noticed that his name is Milking Shorthorn, yet there's no horns.
That's correct, yes. He is what they call polled, which a polled cow is a animal that has no horns naturally. Some breeds have horns, but then they are dehorned when the calf is young. But a polled cow or steer or whatever is just naturally born with no horns.
So horns are definitely different than antlers then. The horn
Correct.
is part of their head and is never lost unless there's an accident.
Nope, that's true. It's never lost. It should stay there and should never fall off.
Is there a benefit to having horns?
I think there is. For use in oxen, generally it's preferred that they have horns just because those horns kind of act to keep the yoke in place. But I do know some teams of polled oxen that are equally successful. They just might not work as well for like pulling loads up an embankment or down just because they don't have the horns there to kind of stop things.
I would expect that this question would depend on the team, but what would we expect, say, this team to be able to pull? Well, how much weight?
It kind of depends because if it's a rolling weight, they could pull something much heavier than it's something they have
like
to
a
drag.
cart.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So if, a cart, they could probably pull quite a bit in a wheeled cart. Something that they have to drag like a plow, not quite as much.
How long does an oxen team stay together? I know it's a lot of hard work. So is their working years shorter than what their lifespan normally would be?
Usually, kind of like we do, as you get older and you've worked for most of your life, you kind of get a few creaks and groans. So I would expect that at some point we would retire them, but they still have many, many years of working ahead of them.
Now, you mentioned earlier heritage breeds. What exactly is a heritage breed?
A heritage breed is a breed that is generally a breed on the Livestock Conservancy priority list. They are breeds that are endangered. Some of the heritage breeds that we have here in the farms are more endangered than a lot of the exotics seen elsewhere in the zoo. They are rare, not because they have no value, but because they don't fit with the industrial food model. They may take a little longer to mature, they may not quite fit that intensive production model, so they've just kind of fallen out of favor. So organizations like the Livestock Conservancy work very hard to promote them, to educate people on their good qualities, and to be a resource for people to be able to find heritage breeds when they're interested with them. And Sedgwick County Zoo has a long history of being very involved with heritage breeds in the Livestock Conservancy. And so I've always been super proud to be able to come here and work with these breeds.
It is fascinating. I have to say, before I started working here at Sedgwick County Zoo, I had never thought about a chicken or a cow or a donkey being critically endangered. But again, if anybody is interested in that, the Livestock Conservancy is a great website. Really a neat place to go and learn about heritage breeds. If you're someone that has a small farm and you've been looking at something like a breed of cow or a goat or a sheep, the Livestock Conservancy is a place where you can go and find those breeds that need conservation, that by keeping them, raising them, and using them as they were created to be used, you're actually helping protect that breed from becoming extinct.
That's right.
Great. Well, we're going to sign off here with Ghost and Bristol, but we are going to, or do we want to walk them right now? We're going to walk them right now so you can go ahead and see some of the things that they're able to do. We'll also post some video later on today of a few more walks with them. Now, as you can see, when Kaylee is using her contact, she's really not even touching the animals with it. It's just enough for them to be able to know that this is what they're supposed to do.
Right. It basically just serves as a cue. Her arms can't be
that long.
6 foot long, so it just helps to give them an idea of what she wants them to do, what part of their body she wants them to move, and just kind of also just help make her point.
Now, oxen do not give rides to people, however,
They do not.
correct?
That's correct.
So this is not a team that we would ever think that could give rides to people anywhere. But we have talked about, as they gain their comfort, having them potentially pull something maybe here, around here in the farms, maybe in our pasture where people could see those oxen at work. They're also big animals, and people forget that the cows are very large animals, and that we always need to make sure that we keep our distance from them, and give them the space that they need.
Yes, it's all about respect. You respect them, they'll hopefully respect you.
And that is one of the neat things about working with all the animals at the zoo, but I would say more particularly in farms than anywhere else, is that relationship that the keepers have to build with the animals. In this particular case, these are some of the larger animals in the zoo, and our keepers work directly with them.
Right.
So making sure that there's that respect and trust with the animals is a really important piece.
Right. Yep.
Well, Bristol and Ghost, you have done a great job today. We appreciate everything that you're doing, showing us today. We want to thank everybody for joining us for another SCZ Live. And remember, even though we're closed, we're still caring.